Hey everybody, I'm Curtis.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Love at First Fright.
Sorry, I was holding space for defying gravity.
No, it's terrible. I gotta leave in, I don't even know how much time of just empty space right at the beginning. Everyone's gonna be like, is it... What the fuck, Spotify? It's just silence for like a minute. I'm gonna have to cut that down. I can't leave that alone. No. Yep, that glorious time of year has finally arrived. Wicked has come out in theaters.
Yep.
Everyone's flocking and clamoring to see it.
Trying to get their popcorn buckets and getting turned away at the door because they painted their face green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
No, I probably won't. I do like some musicals, but this is one that I never really got into the book or the stage version, so I don't feel the nostalgia for it.
I like musicals, but I think it's going to be a thing for me where I just wait till it comes out on a streaming thing to see it. I don't feel the urge to go see it, you know?
Same.
I certainly never read the book.
No. I am enjoying all the memes about Wicked and how absolutely unhinged and bizarre the relationship between the two leads is during the press tour.
Yeah. That
has given me untold amounts of joy.
Yeah.
And fun. So. Yeah.
No, it's been weird because I guess the movie lived up to all the hype around it. I was fully set for this thing to come out and everyone be like, well, that bombed.
You never quite know with big things like that get really hyped.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just as likely most of the time that people are going to be like, well, that didn't need to exist afterwards.
Yeah.
If you saw Wicked and you enjoyed it,
I'm happy for you.
Congratulations.
You don't have to tell me about it.
Yeah.
Normally we ask people to send us
an
email about it. You can keep that one to yourself.
Yeah. We're just know we're happy for you.
Hey, good for you. Good for you, champ. You did it.
But it's also another time of year.
Mm-hmm.
We just had Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and we did not make the mistake we made last year.
Which was?
We got horribly ill.
Food poisoning. Yep. No, I feel like now that Thanksgiving is over, now we're in that very special time of year in the week following Thanksgiving where you know that you have a lot of leftovers in your refrigerator, but you're tired of eating the same thing every day. So then you kind of end up going out and getting a Big Mac anyway, but you feel bad about it.
Yeah. Because
there's so much food in your fridge.
Yeah. I can only eat mac and cheese so many days in a row.
So many days in a row. Yeah.
I think in particular, maybe if you just have a Thanksgiving where you just go to one really big one, right? And then everyone leaves with some leftovers. And everyone always makes a joke, oh, we got leftovers for a week. And I don't know how accurate that is for everyone. I guess if everyone's joking about it, it's pretty accurate. But I do think maybe it's a little bit different for the one really big get together versus if you have a couple.
Yeah.
A couple of them. Because we had two kind of things. Well, I guess really kind of three Thanksgiving
Yeah, we had
things.
three. Because we had our Friendsgiving.
Yeah.
We had your side of the family, and then I went and saw my side of the family.
Yeah, because I was working.
Yeah.
But it's you came home from your side of the family and you didn't even have leftovers. Oh no, you did have leftovers.
Yeah.
You had a whole thing of leftovers.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I've gone blind to it.
Exactly.
Because it's
the same thing. It's okay, now we have a different person's mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And a different person's turkey.
We have 3 different mac and cheeses in there.
Yeah.
I think 3 different turkey, 3 different stuffing.
Different pound cakes.
And it's all good. It's not it's, bad food or whatever. It's just the they're kind of spaced out just enough for us that it's like by the time we ran out of one,
now we have to do it again.
We re-upped on the other things.
So it's just been
that,
like
and it's
a full week and some change of just leftovers. And I'm also, anyone who knows me personally knows that I am very weird about food, and I have a mysterious disease that makes me think that any food that's been in the fridge for longer than 48 hours is poison now. Mm-hmm. And I know logically that that's not true, so I have to sort of tell myself that I can eat things, but then I don't want to eat them.
You got 4 days. Is I think the scientific thing.
I know that I'm wrong, but my brain tells me, that's been in there for too long. You can't have it. Except for condiments. Condiments can be in the fridge.
Condiments don't actually go bad.
8 years and they're still fine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, or like as soon as something hits its expiration date, even though that's more of a like Best Buy, general suggestion, as soon as milk hits its expiration date, it's poison to me.
It's the fun thing for me because it's not that I just say whatever with it, but if once it hits the expiration date on milk in particular, there's other things that like I don't play with. Like if it's like you had some lunch meat that you forgot about and that hit the expiration, that goes in the trash. That's been opened and out of the fridge so many times that I can't possibly trust it. But milk, I open it, you give it the sniff test, you look at it, you don't see anything in there, it smells okay, and you got to be careful because sometimes the milk around the cap gets a little crusty, and then that makes you think, it's gone off, but it hasn't yet.
But the fact that those crusties exist means that what's inside is poison.
No. The crusties can be there on day 2.
I know. I agree with everything you're saying logically. But the little mentally ill goblin that sort of operates me.
The milk's already curdled.
Like a
you
Gundam.
Can't drink it.
Yeah. Very much tells me that everything in the fridge is poison.
Right.
So this has been a week of exposure therapy for me.
Yeah.
And I did DoorDash breakfast this morning because I couldn't
Well, that's a little different, though.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want breakfast delivered. You don't want to worry about that. I did make breakfast burritos, but those are kind of more of a I'm on the go thing.
Yeah. They're portable.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exhausted not just from that, but from the being inundated with Black Friday / Cyber Monday.
I keep getting so many texts and push notifications.
Yeah. I've gotten so many that have been like, oh, Black Friday's here, buy our stuff.
It started like a week and a half ago, which is not Black Friday.
Well, and I think it's weird because like a lot of things like the big box stores or whatever, they have been going basically like all month with it.
They're doing like early Black Friday.
Which is fine, I get whatever. I mean, I like it better than the idea that we have to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning on Black Friday and then run around like crazy all day to get stuff.
But see, the problem is that back then when we used to do that, it's because it was worth it. It's because you could get a 55-inch TV for $15, and that's why you were gonna stab the person next to you in line to get it. Nowadays it's like, oh, this TV that we in June marked up 25%, now we're taking off that 25%. Happy Black Friday. And it's not good.
I feel like everyone was always doing that.
No, because there were times, like, I feel like you don't remember, like, our childhood Black Fridays when you would literally get those ads that are like, this is a doorbuster used to mean something. Now,
doorbuster.
Yes. Now, if you get a freaking ad from Joanne Fabrics in the mail, everything says it's a doorbuster year round. Because it's like, oh, these ribbons are $6 instead of $7. That's a doorbuster.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. Doorbusters.
Oh, no, you started it. Like, we're fumbling, you corrected it, and then you went back to the fumble.
Because the fumble was better. it used to be something was 75% off, 90% off, and there were only 100 in the store. And so you did have to elbow, bite ankles. You had to do a whole ruse and charade of like, oh, my baby is in the hospital and needs this.
I guess I don't remember, because I don't remember seeing things for being like 90% off.
I remember that when I was a small child.
I flipped through the toy catalogs and said, none of this, give me a moped, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it used to be good back in the day, and now it means nothing.
I think it still means something. It's just, you know.
I don't know. Like, as a person who kind of has a bad relationship with shopping and probably does it too much, I have shockingly bought very little things through Black Friday because I'm aware of what the prices are normally for the stuff that I want. And I'm like, okay, so it's basically the same price? Mm-hmm. Like...
Well, I've always been a Cyber Monday person myself anyway. Yeah. I never liked going to the physical stores. There's like very few exceptions to that. That like, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather go to the store to get this thing. But normally Cyber Monday rolls around a couple of days later, mm-hmm. and then you don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, Cyber Monday is fine.
You can just sit at home and do it.
If they have actual deals.
But that's what Black Friday has turned into now. Mm-hmm. It's just an extended period Cyber Monday, because all of those texts that I got from all of those businesses, mm-hmm. and Amazon and Target and Walmart, all of them, they were all like, hurry, Black Friday's about to end. And then at the stroke of midnight, every single one of them was like, the sale's still going, because Cyber Monday, they didn't change anything.
I had one brand that I've like signed up. I don't even remember why I'm signed up for text. I probably did it to get a coupon code at some point. But legitimately, mm-hmm. on actual Black Friday, I got no fewer than 6 text messages from them saying, this is the final hour of the Black Friday sale. And then 2 hours later, they would be like, we extended it, surprise. And I'm like, hey, I didn't rush to go get it earlier.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's sales tactics, right? They're trying to get people to be like, oh, I gotta buy it now, because if I don't buy it on Black Friday, they're going to go up. But then if you just wait, then you see that it's still on sale for Cyber Monday. Mm-hmm. And I would guess that there's probably still going to be some sales running past. Because
there's always some sale going on.
Yeah. But like, because like Target in the past has done this thing where they did like every week it was like a new thing. And so you kind of just had to gamble on this week is when the iPads are going on sale or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just saying, it's not the same anymore. It's not like it used to be. What?
Not like it used to be.
It's not. My family used to wake up in the dead of night to go to Kohl's so that I could get shoes and clothing for the following school year. We were also broke, so we needed to do that. But I'm telling you, this used to be a thing, and now it is not a thing.
I know that it used to be a thing. Everyone would get up and go do it, but I'm saying it's better now that you don't have to do that. Because then you can actually enjoy Thanksgiving, because like part of Thanksgiving Day got turned into... Like, you already were, like,
5
cooking...
5 p.m. on Thanksgiving, sales start.
Exactly. Well, and that was the, like, epitome of the nightmare version of it, was that, like, every store is now open on Thanksgiving at, mm-hmm. like, 8 p.m., all the way through close the following business day. Right. Or whatever, and so you had to deal with that. But even when it wasn't open on Thanksgiving, they would open on Black Friday, but it would be like at 4 a.m. or something like that. It turned into, you had to be up really early on Thanksgiving because you were hosting like 1,800 people at your house. You were freaking out the whole day because you were making a bunch of food and trying to get all that timed out. So you didn't really get to enjoy like a whole bunch of it. And then the end of the day, then you immediately cycled into what's the game plan for rushing out of here in the middle of the night to get wherever I need to go.
Here's the secret, Curtis. No one was having fun on Thanksgiving regardless.
I was playing video games.
Because you weren't involved in any of that stuff.
But I'm saying now you can relax a little bit more with it. You don't have to worry about it because the sales.
It's not worth it because you don't get the deals.
You do get the deals.
You don't. We could talk about this all day, but the deals, yes, you don't have to go out at 4 a.m. anymore, but the reason we don't go out at 4 a.m. is because the deals aren't worth going out for. And I stand by that. And the people are going to back me up. We're going to get flooded with emails and DMs saying, wow, Hannah is so right. Hannah is the voice of a generation. Hannah's saying what we're all thinking. Oh, Curtis doesn't get it.
We're going to get so many emails being like, nah, it's great. I get to sleep. On one of the few days off I get a year.
No. I think you're the odd man out here.
Like this rules. Anyway.
Whatever. Speaking of Black Friday shopping, the whole purpose of which is to buy cool stuff for your loved ones for Christmas.
Yep.
And that's why we decided to start our Christmas season off right with a Christmas horror movie.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yep. This time we watched Gremlins. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Gremlins, the fantasy comedy horror film. It came out in 1984. It was directed by Joe Dante, written by Chris Columbus, and the basic prompt of it is that a father, by chance, stumbles across this unique creature in a shop and decides to buy it for his son for a Christmas present, but then things break bad, as they usually do in horror movies. Mm-hmm. And also, the son is like an adult, I think. It's unclear. Yeah, I don't actually know how old.
It kind of gave vibes of high school at first, but then I'm like, no. So I don't know.
But he's definitely not going to school and just working a job.
Certainly not. But anyway, yeah. So the cast for Gremlins, big cast, but some of the major players. We have Zach Galligan playing our main character Billy, Phoebe Cates as Kate, Hoyt Axton as Rand, who is Billy's dad / the inventor guy. We have Frances Lee McCain as Lynn, who is Billy's mom. And we have Polly Holiday as Ruby Deagle, who's kind of the, antagonist of the story. He's playing more of a minor part, but Corey Feldman is also in this movie playing a neighborhood kid, Pete.
Yeah.
And then Curtis, I'm going to give you one guess, and you're never going to get it right. Who do you think voiced Gizmo? I'll give you one guess on who you think that was.
When did this movie come out?
84.
I don't know. Christopher Walken.
Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel voiced Gizmo.
Yeah, you're right. I would have never gotten that.
Never in a million years would you have gotten that. Oh my god. So random. That's my little fun fact.
So weird.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun when we noticed that Jonathan Banks was in this movie as the deputy. Because you were like, is that Mike Hermantrout?
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
I'm good with faces, but can't always place them. That is Gremlins. It's kind of based on, and they go into this a little bit in the movie, the concept of Gremlins comes from like a folklore tale that kind of popped up, especially around World War II, where people would say basically that any equipment malfunction, especially the British Royal Air Force would talk about any time the planes had a misfunction that it was caused by quote unquote gremlins. And that kind of became its own little thing to describe these little hidden forces behind the scenes that cause chaos and, mess with your stuff. And there was a whole, there was a children's book called The Gremlins that Disney actually owns the rights for, but they never did anything with that book. But this isn't based on that book. It's just based on the same concept.
I had seen this movie in I think bits and pieces, but I'd never seen the thing the whole way through.
Oh, okay.
So watching it now was pretty fun because I finally got the full context of some things. I knew the rules about the Gremlins, and I knew about basically how things went bad.
Sure.
But I couldn't remember. Like, I had no memory of Miss Deagle or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
As being as prominent as she... And prominence, I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
She kind of exists to, like, later when she gets got.
You don't
really feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I think this movie does a pretty good job of setting that up generally, of, like, the people who really get it, kind of, you don't really feel bad about.
There are some innocent victims, though.
I mean, yeah, there are, but, like, the one guy who, with his wife, who gets ran over by the tractor, he's just, like, blatantly racist.
Yeah, he's actually kind of where we get some of the...
Yeah.
In world, some of the background on, like, because he was, I fought in the war, and, it's the damn gremlins and everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people die in this movie. I have seen this movie in full, at least once or twice. I don't know exactly how many times I've seen it over the years, but I had kind of forgotten just how violent it is. Like, I think, I knew it was a horror movie, a horror comedy, really, but some of the like gore and just things like one of the gremlins like getting literally put into a blender and then its guts like spewing everywhere, and it's just like, whoa, like that's pretty intense for This movie came out like right around the time that the whole controversy that led to the creation of the PG-13 rating. So this and like the Indiana Jones movie and all of that stuff were very much like, we have to have something in between, because there ain't no way that this is a PG movie.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely... like, the blender is one of them. The microwave is another one that happens, like, right after that. I mean, even the final gremlin death in the movie is pretty gnarly when he gets melted. It's kind of gross. But it is also, it kind of leads to one of my favorite things about the movie, which is like all of the practical gremlin effects that they do. And I mean, like, some of them are like, you can tell they're puppets, but then there are other ones that it's just like, they kind of really feel like real creatures.
Well, they have so much personality, even as puppets. And the character design is just so fun that you're really invested in them the whole time. Yeah.
It's also kind of weird because, like, the movie, it feels like a slow burn kind of movie, but it's not really long either.
It's not very long.
I think it's, like, just over an hour and a half. Yeah. It's like an hour 45, something like that.
I kind of like that about this movie, because it sort of has this... Like, the background of this movie is Christmas. It's winter time. He's buying this as a Christmas present and all of that stuff. So you almost kind of get this lured into this sense of like, oh, this is just going to be like a fun family fantasy movie about Christmas stuff. Yeah. And then, after the first time that they accidentally get water on Gizmo. Yeah. And Gizmo starts multiplying and all that stuff, you're like, oh, this is like weirdly turning into body horror all of a sudden, and like, I thought we were just having a fun time. I thought this was going to be fun for the whole family, but
when we were watching it, we were having, I think, a lot of fun pointing out like just like really, really weird and really funny things just about kind of like the logic of the movie, and not even just like the thing that everyone points out, which is because like one of the rules is you can't feed them after midnight, right? And we talked about this a little bit, and we were like, what does that mean? Does it mean at midnight until like 6 a.m.
until the next sunrise,
until 12 p.m. like the next day, and then you have that 12-hour window. Like, what does it mean? And then you were like, well, what about like time zones? Like, what happens
what if you take the gremlin on a flight? And it's like, does it stay honed to its original time zone, or does that change based on where it lives? What if you lived in a place like Alaska where it's like daylight or nighttime for months at a time?
But yeah, I mean, like, even besides that one, I think one of my favorite ones that we talked about was with Miss Deagle, because she's just like comically evil.
Yes.
In a way, because like we get introduced to her. She comes up to the bank where Billy works, and Billy has brought his dog with him to work after his car is broken down and not starting. And so he walks up to the bank. He gets in there to work. Miss Deagle comes in, and she was like, "Your dog broke my." It was like a snowman lawn ornament thing or whatever, ceramic snowman lawn ornament or some crap, and. She's like, I want your dog because I want to kill it.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. Like, let me know how much it cost and I'll refund you. And she's just like, I don't want your money. I want to kill your dog slowly. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, are you actually the town witch?
It is, like, but it's crazy because like she does this, but she like pushes her way to the front of the line.
Yes.
Every time she's at the bank, she just pushes her way in front of people. And why is everyone else in town putting up with it?
Everyone just lets her do it. And I guess they're all just like, well, she is crazy. Maybe she would kill my dog slowly next, you know? But... And, like, one of the first, before she even goes into the bank, there's, like, a mother with two children who comes up and is like, please, my husband lost his job and we just need a little more time on the rent. And she's, again, just cartoonishly evil, just like, I'm here to make money, not, help freeloaders or whatever.
And then the woman's just like, but it's Christmas. And then she looks at the children and she goes, well, I guess they know what to ask Santa for.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit.
Cold as ice. Yeah, she's...
What is wrong with you?
Kind of hilarious with how evil she is. Yeah. It's really quite a silly story. A lot of the characters are kind of taken up to 11, like even Kate, who also works at the bank with Billy, and she's kind of his friend and love interest throughout the film. As things sort of reach their climax later on, they're kind of fighting to survive together. But she has this whole thing from the beginning of the movie that she hates Christmas and it's the worst time of year and all this stuff. And she says a line really early on that I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, where she's like, yeah, everybody else is opening presents while some people are opening their wrists. And I'm like, babe, go to therapy expeditiously.
Yeah, that's great.
Immediately, right now. But of course, way later in the movie, she gets a moment where she explains, why she no longer has her Christmas spirit.
Yeah, but she also picks like one of the worst times to like expound upon all of this. Like, everything's broken bad at this point. There's gremlins all over the place, and she's like, I guess now's as good a time as any.
While we hide out from the gremlins, let me dive deep into my childhood.
Let me tell you about the time my dad dressed up as Santa and tried to squeeze himself down a chimney.
Broke his neck.
And fucking died.
And got stuck in there for 7 days, and we thought he went missing until the smell came. And she is delivering this so earnestly. Yeah. It's truly one of the funniest performances ever.
Yeah, it's very good.
I love Phoebe Cates. She's so wonderful.
I also loved the when Mrs. Deagle gets killed in the movie, because prior to this scene, whenever we see her, she's like marching her way through town. Yes. She's all angry. But when her like death scene comes, she is on one of those, like, I don't know what they're called, but the chairs that you put on the side of the stairs so they can lift you up and down it, so you don't have to walk up and down the stairs. She's acting like she's this frail old woman,
and she's got a little cat in her lap.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Mr. Whiskers, I love you.
I'm like, you were like barreling through people.
Yes.
In the bank.
She's terrible.
It's so good.
But yeah, it's a really, really fun movie, and another like element of it that I love that they kind of keep going throughout and they keep playing with the whole time is that Billy's dad, Rand, is an inventor. Yeah. And so that's kind of the framing of this, is he's trying to sell his newest gadget to, some stores down in Chinatown. And that's when he finds the Mogwai, who ends up being Gizmo. And throughout the entire movie, every time we are in their house, there is some ridiculous gadget that he has made. So there's like, he has like an egg cracker and an orange juicer and like all these different things. And they're all like ridiculously overworked and overcomplicated designs for a very simple task to execute. And his wife is so lovely and supportive because she's, even when he's not home, she's trying to use all of his items and she tries to protect his feelings when they don't work and everything. And
there's a scene where he's left town again and he calls back home because I guess he's at some kind of convention. Yeah. And he calls back home and she's sitting in the kitchen and there's a telephone.
It's just like on the wall.
It's basically within arm's reach from her. And instead of just grabbing it, she pulls out this little metal box with this very long antenna and then aims it at it and presses a button and then tries to talk. But then the phone immediately rings again. And she does it. She tries doing it like a couple of times before she just picks up the phone. And then, like, you don't hear what he says, but I think she says something along the lines of, no, I'm sure it would have worked if it connected. Like,
no, she doesn't even say that. She's literally like, oh, no, it works fine. I was just out in the garden.
Oh, and
so like, she's, like, basically lying and being like, it took me longer because I was outside.
So it's like, even when he's not there, she's still using these things. And I'm like, she's just fully supportive of his endeavors on this.
Number one.
And then she ends up becoming, like, one of my favorite characters of the movie because she's just, like, she, like, switches to fully competent. Like, it's nothing. It's so great.
It was so fun to see that change. And I love having a, like, mom character that, you know, she's kind of played for humor. Like, she's, you know, trying to be supportive of the bumbling husband and all this stuff. But as soon as the actual gremlins come out and they have turned, you know, bad and they're in her house everywhere, it becomes, like, survival horror at that point. And she's not stuck in there with them. They're stuck in there with her. Yeah. Because she's immediately like, I'm getting a fucking knife and I am hunting these guys down one by one. And she is killing them in such creative and cool
she
ways.
Gets one into this, like, huge blender thing and he just gets ground up and his feet are sticking out. Then she, like, just stabs one to death with a knife. Him.
And another one goes in the microwave.
Yeah, she ends up shoving one in a microwave and it explodes. And then she throws one in a fireplace, I think, right?
One goes in the fire.
And then I think that's one of the last ones. At this point, it's just Spike and then there's Stripe rather. And then there's one other one, but that one's not at the house. It's at the school. Yeah,
so she kills all of them that are in the house
except for Stripe. Stripe gets away.
Badass,
he gets away because he's kind of also, I think, smarter than the other ones.
He's the leader of the gang.
And he gets away, I think, when Billy gets back home. But, like, they could have done that entire scene where it's, like, she's wandering through the house and just kind of being tormented by these things and not, like, actually stopping them. And then Billy comes in and saves her. But Billy gets there and she's killed 4 of the 5 of them. And then Stripe runs away, and then Billy's left, like, going through the house, like, looking at the carnage of all these dead gremlin bodies. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, absolute badass bitch. Love her. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of fun fight scenes in this movie too. Yeah. One thing that kept bothering me, and it is kind of the same thing with, like, Chucky and any movie where, you know, the enemy is something small, is there will be times when, like, there's a point when Billy is being, like, pinned down to the ground by one of the gremlins, and I'm like, just stand up. No. Like,
I'll say in the case of the gremlins, I'll give them a pass because they're clearly, like, weird alien-esque creatures. We don't know how strong they are.
Yeah. Well, and they use a lot of tools too. Like, it's very, they know that they're small. So, like, we see multiple gremlins just whip out a freaking gun and shoot somebody with it, or another gremlin.
They really have a lot of fun with the gremlin stuff. They do one of my favorite things with alien creatures or weird creatures that have, like, just come to Earth or integrating into, like, human society. Like, they're just born, basically. And yet they have enough knowledge about how human society works to be able to do bits.
Yes.
that are objectively very funny, but then lead to somebody dying. It's like Killer Clowns from Outer Space does this a lot. This movie does it. There's a scene where there's the Gremlins have dressed up as Christmas carolers.
Yes.
And they're just singing outside of one of the houses.
And I think
it's Miss Deagle's house, there, right? And then because she opens the door and she's like, "Wah!" And then by the time she gets back in and closes it, they've somehow sabotaged her chair, which then shoots up the longest set of stairs I've ever seen.
And so absolutely busts through a big ornate window. Yeah,
she flies out into the street. But it's just like, there's a scene where they're in the bar and all of them are drinking, and there is a human bartender who is doing her best to serve Kate, them. It's Kate. Yeah. She's trying to serve them and everything.
She's lighting cigarettes in their mouths.
They're holding bottles of whiskey and multiple cigarettes in their mouth, just doing human stuff.
They're gambling.
Yeah, and I'm like, they just came to life 30 minutes ago.
They literally emerged.
Yeah.
And became this 2 minutes ago. How do they know this stuff?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things when these things just have knowledge of human society and can do bits, because it never makes any sense.
Well, and honestly, I do think that the creature work, the practical effects, all of that, I think that is a huge part of why this movie was not only successful at the time, but why it's been an enduring film that we continue to enjoy and to talk about.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of, Gremlins kind of inspired a whole slew of copycats. You had Ghoulies and Critters and, different ones like that, but none of them did what Gremlins did.
Yeah. And then 6 years later, we got Gremlins 2.
The new batch,
which, I definitely haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I'm Maybe we should check that out. Yeah, it's not Christmas related.
No, it's not. So we'll see it at some point. But yeah. No, they really do have a lot of fun with the creature design in this. There's ones that I think they may be called this by fans or officially or whatever. But we mentioned, there's one with a gun. And he's in the bar scene. And when Kate's trying to leave, he just has on a little mask.
Yeah.
And he just has a gun.
Yes, and it's where did he get
I think they call that one Mugger Gremlin or whatever. Idea. But the funny thing is because they have ugh knowledge to be yes, we'll do this thing where we dress up as Christmas carolers as a bit to get this person. But then this one has a gun and he's called Mugger Gremlin, doesn't know how to shoot the gun because he fires it and completely misses with this thing. So it's just unhinged. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so funny.
I don't know.
Every time.
I don't know. And I think also, too, it's really interesting how they, Mogwai, so Gizmo never breaks bad. Gizmo is a gentle soul amongst this sea of gremlins, but all of the gremlins that multiply out of Gizmo are evil, pretty much. And even Gizmo, who seemingly just, lived under a curtain in a bird cage in a shop that no one goes to.
Yeah.
Knows a little bit of English.
Yeah.
And can say it, and no one's weirded out by that.
Yeah.
Because one of the rules is don't expose it to light, especially not sunlight, because that can kill them.
Yeah.
And the first night that he's there, the mom goes to take a little family picture of everybody, and the flash goes off and it scares him. And he's literally saying, bright light, bright light, bright light. And it's no one's concerned.
Yeah. It's not, the it speaking is obviously cause for concern, but the fact that, when he is unveiled to the family, and nobody has any questions about, hey, Dad, what the hell is this thing? What the hell
is that thing? Should we take it to, a museum? A doctor?
Nobody has any questions until he accidentally gets wet.
Yes.
And then Billy's I'll take it to the science teacher at the local school.
Yes, the physics teacher over here.
To run some tests on him.
Stupid. Yeah, it's That was what was really getting me too, is literally everyone who meets Gizmo is just like, oh cool, what's that? And I'm like, if I saw a never before seen creature in my friend's possession, I would be like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah. I would not just be like, oh cool, can I pet it? I would need to know everything.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like when Corey Feldman's character discovers Gizmo after, Billy's had it for that first night. This leads up to when Gizmo gets wet for the first time in the first 5 other Mogwais spawn from Gizmo. He jumps onto the bed and then covers up Gizmo with a blanket, and then Gizmo's like moving around under there. Yeah. And then he seems weirded out because he's like, what is that under the blanket? And Billy runs over and he's like, oh, that's a Mogwai. And he just opens it up and he just shows him. And then, again,
immediately
no concern.
Down.
No, yeah, he's just like, oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, cool. That's nice. That's Can neat. I have one?
Yeah.
Like, he's just extremely casual about it.
The lack of concern all around is
it's pretty hilarious
to me.
Everyone being like, never before seen creature, and also it does speak English because it can say it can't say a lot of words.
Yeah.
But it does say bright light multiple times.
Yeah.
They say a couple of other things here and there. I can't remember what all they say, but
I mean, Stripe at the end says something about Billy or whatever.
Yep.
Also, that whole scene towards the end where they're in like the sporting goods store and they're trying to finish off Stripe. Stripe has like a little electric chainsaw plugged in, and Billy's holding him off with a bat. But just before that, Stripe has managed to get a crossbow and shoots Billy with it, but it's a crossbow that's like for a gremlin sized.
Yeah.
Like, why would they have that?
I don't know. Same thing with the guns, because the guns are like proportionate to their small little gremlin hands. So I'm like, where did you find that?
Yeah.
And also, I've picked up a chainsaw for humans, and they're heavy. I don't think a gremlin could pick them up.
Stripe can, because he's built different.
He's buff, I guess.
Yeah,
he is holding all of these adult humans down, so I guess they are just strong. Weirdly strong.
He's real strong.
And also, poor Gizmo is no help during that whole scene. It's like a montage where we're going from, Billy and Stripe fighting to Corey Feldman and Phoebe Cates like doing something with the other ones, and then you have Gizmo in like an RC car. Not helpful at all. This scene goes on for 5+ minutes, and Gizmo's just driving around, and I'm like, are you gonna help at any point?
Yeah, he goes on the most convoluted path to get to like a ramp that somehow launches him to exactly where he needs to go. But it's so weird because like it's a fully controllable RC car from the driver's seat of the RC car.
Yeah. Yep. You don't know about those? That's that 80s technology.
It's just like, I just don't. Every bit, like if you dig at all into this movie, it makes literally no sense.
Yeah.
But it's just fun the whole way through.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah. And I mean, that's why like this movie had to be a horror comedy, because if we didn't have the comedy aspect, it would just be a bad movie.
Yeah.
But like having the comedy and the whimsy of it all makes it so much fun. And having everyone play it straight, even though they're in ridiculous situations or they're saying or doing ridiculous things, just makes it work.
Yeah.
I mean, even down to like, another one of the rules that we haven't even really talked about is the, don't get them wet thing.
Yeah.
And we were, again, discussing...
We talked about this one more than the timing thing.
They're walking in the snow.
Yeah.
Snow is just...
water.
One of them is like drinking a soda at one point, and it's like, that's got water in it.
Yeah, all of the ones drinking alcohol.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, they can interact with water if it isn't pure water.
Yeah. It has to be just water. It cannot be water in steam form, frozen, not ice.
Yes.
Just water.
Just water.
jury's out on salt water.
Yeah, who
knows?
If
the salt would cancel out the water portion of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie it's very funny and very weird and very silly. There's a scene where all of the Gremlins have gone to the movie theater and are watching Snow White, which I guess they just got the licensing from Disney to show a portion of Snow White in this movie. But like, some are wearing like 3D glasses and they're eating popcorn and drinking soda. Yeah. And they're sitting in the seats. So again, they just know intrinsically what all of this stuff is for. Not to mention, one of them would have had to have gotten the movie to run because, especially in those, they didn't have there was a projectionist. They're not
digital, yeah.
Yeah, so one of them would have to have been up there and know how that works.
Yep. Some Gremlins come out of the womb knowing how to shoot a gun. Some of them know how to work projection equipment. It's so funny. But yeah, it's very, very funny. So, all of this eventually leads to a big showdown with Kate and Billy and Gizmo. And is the dad there?
No, he's out of town.
He's there at the end.
Yeah, he comes back.
But, they've followed a Stripe and they're in this greenhouse area, and Stripe's plan, and he's done it before, is to basically just throw himself into some water so that he can create dozens more of these little guys. So they're trying to prevent him from being able to jump into this fountain thing that's in there. And eventually how they manage that is that they pull off some cardboard or paper or something that's covering the windows, and the sunlight has started to stream in on Christmas morning, and it hits him and messes him up.
Yeah, it's real gross. He gets all melty.
He gets fully liquefied, and it's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yep.
They do a couple of close-ups on it, and it's pretty horrific looking.
Yeah, you can kind of see his weird little skeleton, and it's very gross and goopy.
Yeah, and green.
Yeah, they do a lot of goop related stuff with the Gremlins. Yeah. And also it seems like it's always green, when they die or anything, it's always green. But then in that scene where the high school science teacher is taking a blood sample, pretty sure it's just red blood. So I don't know what
I think you're right. There. When he draws the blood from the Mogwai before it's transformed fully into
maybe that's it. Maybe Mogwais have red blood. And then the weird evolved mean Gremlins
become all good. Well, that kind of tracks because once they eat, then they go to those cocoon things, which are kind of goopy.
Yeah,
just
they're
in themselves.
Weird, gross eggs.
So maybe that's it. Maybe it's once they become Gremlins, then they get green goopy blood.
Goopy.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're pretty gross.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yep. I really like this movie.
Me too. I think it's super fun. If you've never seen it, this is a perfect time of year to watch it. It is, Christmas is the background of the movie, and it's just a fun time. I don't think it would be too scary for...
No.
Yes, there's kind of some gross stuff in there, but I think
we can talk about it when we talk about the rating here in a minute, but, I don't think the movie's really... I don't think this movie's, really scary at all. There's gore, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's only the Gremlins.
It's more the Gremlins.
There's a scene where, again, a woman gets thrown out of a big window and then two other people get run over by a tractor. And you don't see her land from being thrown out of the window. You don't see them actually get run over. And so you never see any blood from them. There's a little bit of blood from Billy
Billy gets shot with the crossbow, so he has a wound in the later part of the movie.
Yeah, but even that, it's not
it's not gruesome.
Spurting blood. It's a little bit of red on there or whatever. But yeah, all of the blood and gore and guts and stuff is from the Gremlins themselves, and then it's just goopy green.
It's more just gross and yucky.
It's
it looks like
the microwave one when he explodes. It just looks like a gourd explodes in the microwave.
Yes,
you know what I mean? It's
not. Yeah.
So I guess if any kind of gore is upsetting to you, then this would be up there. But it's not. To me, it's not.
If watching the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards really messed you up, don't watch this. Because it's kind of the same.
It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
Do you love Halloween? Have you ever wished there was another time to celebrate that fun and spooky time of year?
Well, now you can. HauntFest is a Halloween horror festival business that celebrates Halloween off-season.
Their next ghoulish affairs will be at Nightmare Dungeon in Greenville, South Carolina on December 13th through 15th, and at Terrapin Beer Company in Athens, Georgia on April 4th through 6th.
HauntFest events include all sorts of themed activities, such as hay rides, freak shows, fire breathing, live music, trivia, pumpkin painting, animal encounters, a haunted trail, and much more.
The festival also hosts an array of horror and Halloween-themed vendors, offering anything from tarot readings and antiques to original horror literature, macabre artwork, and jewelry.
Don't miss out on this opportunity. Get your pre-sale tickets today for only $20.
For ticket purchases, inquiries, and more info, please visit www.hauntfest.net and follow HauntFest on social media. Well, do you have a scariest part of the movie that you wanted to discuss?
I would have to kind of think about it. Do you have a scariest moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have one. I think what comes to mind for me as the scariest part of the movie is probably the initial scene with the mom before she starts fighting back, but kind of that, you know, she's at home alone and Billy is at the school and he's realizing, because he finds the science teacher dead, that these things are, you know, violent and they hatch after a certain amount of time. So he's discovering this, and mom is at home alone, sort of oblivious to the danger that she's in. And she, you know, goes up the stairs and sees the weird broken cocoon things everywhere, and Billy's trying to call her and be like, you gotta get out of the house, but the Gremlins have cut the phone line, which is another thing of like, okay, so they know that that's a form of communication.
Yeah, they know how phones work.
Yes. But I think there's a good amount of like suspense and tension building that happens as the mom, like, she knows enough, like, the, you know, her hackles are up. She knows that something is wrong, but she doesn't necessarily know the extent of what is wrong. So there's kind of this tense scene as she's, you know, going down the stairs and looking around the corners and, you know, like, trying to figure out what to do and where the danger is. And then that initial, like, disruption of that tension when the gremlin busts out and, you know, is attacking her is very scary. So I think that part was, to me, probably the most traditionally scary scene, is just kind of that cat and mouse and what's going to happen to her, you know.
For me, I think the most, like, traditional scary thing in this movie is the lead up to it is stupid. The physics teacher guy has one of the Mogwai that they have left at the school after taking Gizmo up there and dropping more water on him to get him to reproduce,
to prove that that's what happens, which is also fucked up.
Yeah, it is fucked up. The first time is an accident, and like, fine, whatever. You didn't mean for it to happen. It was clearly painful for him, and there's going to be consequences to this, no matter what those happen to be. But then when he takes Gizmo up to the school, he's like, "Look at this." Drops more water on him. He screams in pain again. And then the physics teacher keeps the one that spawns and he puts him in like a hamster cage. And he's there late at night doing these tests, and he has a sandwich that he's eating. And he takes one bite
of
the sandwich. He puts it down and he's like, well, I gotta get home. And then he just leaves the sandwich out on the counter, not back in the bag, nothing. No. He just leaves it.
Suspiciously, it is perfectly within gremlin arm's length from the cage.
So, of course, the gremlin gets a hold of it and he eats it. And then he, he goes into the pod thing. And so, like, the next day, the pod is, like, in the cage and he's trying to get it out. And eventually he does turn fully into a gremlin and escapes from the pod, but he's stuck in the science room. Mm-hmm. And we get this kind of extended scene where the physics teacher has like gotten a candy bar and he's trying to like get the gremlin to come out because he doesn't know where it is exactly. Yeah. And then he kind of narrows it down to, he's under my desk. And so he goes over there. And I think that whole scene is kind of sweet because like we haven't fully seen like what's going to happen yet. This is kind of our first introduction to what these gremlin things are even going to be, and it culminates in the physics teacher guy being killed by the gremlin. And when Billy discovers him, he has a little needle that's been stuck in like his leg or his butt or whatever, and it's just like again really funny that like they're intelligent enough to like know the kind of like
get him back.
Yeah. And it's really funny, but I think that scene leading up to that moment is kind of scary because again it's that kind of tension thing. You don't know like where he's gonna get got from, kind of a deal.
I think at that point we don't even know what the gremlins look like in their evolved form.
No, I think that's kind of exactly it. We've been getting this lead up to like they're in the pods, and even when the physics teacher gets killed, we don't see what gets him. I mean, we know it's the gremlin, but we don't see it happen. He reaches his hand under the desk, and then he starts screaming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when Billy finds him, he goes to, I think, grab the phone that's on his desk, and a little hand comes up and like swats Billy's hand and scratches him. And then we only see the hand for a bit. Mm-hmm. It's not until Billy goes into the the nurse's office to patch himself up that the gremlin who chewed his way or ripped his way through a vent also went to the nurse's office and then somehow got into the cabinet that Billy was going to get into or whatever.
He wants Billy's blood, okay?
And then he goes back into another vent. I just don't even understand.
They call that one Vent Gremlin.
Vent Gremlin?
Yes.
Oh, man.
His whole thing is that he really likes vents.
Vents, yeah. But yeah, no, that's the first time we even get to see it. And he's like, we don't even get to see, I think, the full body. He's like leaning out of the
bits and pieces, which is great, great tension building in any horror movie. It's like, just give us glimpses of the monster and let us imagine what it might be.
Yeah. We can kind of talk about the rating thing for this one. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't think this is scary, really, at all. I rated it really low in scares. But I do think it's really entertaining.
I think it's very entertaining, and I think the visuals are great.
Yeah. And the performances are about what you would expect out of a mid-1980s comedy horror thing. So, if you're into that, it's good. If you're not, it's, whatever.
I put the performances above average because I do love how straight everybody played it, and I think that was an intentional choice in order to support the humor of the story. Yeah. So I liked it from that sense, but it's certainly not like no one's winning Oscars for this.
I think it's funny because like if you take the Gremlins out of it, it almost feels like there's a different movie that could happen here. Yeah. Centering around Billy and his dog and Miss Deagle and, like some kind of Christmas thing
like a Scrooge
exactly. Like it feels like it could go in that direction until the Gremlins really get introduced into this whole thing. But visually I think it's really fun. They do a lot of practical effects. They reuse, I think, the same gremlin that's like hanging from an object several times in the movie.
And it's always funny.
And it's really funny every single time. All in all, I came out with a 6.55.
And I came out with a 6.5 because I wasn't being weird about it.
I put 7.75 in Vision. And anyway,
so almost identical scores.
Yeah,
we had different things in different categories, but it all evened out.
Yeah, so it's a total of our combined average of a 6.5, which I think is low compared to like what you see online. But I think a flaw in our specific grading thing is that comedy horror things, unless they are equally scary to funny,
they're still gonna they
get dinged
lower.
Pretty hard, because I think we did this with other comedy horror things. I'm just gonna set this up slightly higher. If I change the scares to just a 5, if we just say whatever, it's mid, it brings the combined average up to a 6.8. So like, again, if you did that, it would probably be over a 7, which I think is more fair to actually say this movie is a 7. It's just our scale isn't necessarily great at rating comedy horrors.
Right. Yeah, I think comedy horrors kind of they really only have the opportunity to make up the difference in like the entertainment category, maybe the performance category. So, it can be kind of tough, but I feel like most of our horror comedies have wound up in the same like 5.5 to 7-ish range. Yeah. So
I also think it's one of those things that like our rating says 6.5, but like again, because this movie we both rated it really entertaining, I would like to watch it more or again.
Right.
Whereas I have seen other ones that we have rated that maybe lean a little bit more scary, but not quite as entertaining. Yeah. And they would also be around this thing that I wouldn't necessarily want to watch again. So like it's this kind of weird thing, and you have to like
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. In the grand context of everything, I think it's a really fun movie.
Yes.
It's one of those ones that like if you're not really big into horror, if you're looking for like a Christmassy related thing, if you're looking for just a fun time, this is a really good movie to go into that. I think especially if you like the 1980s practical effects. Yeah. There's a lot there to enjoy. Yeah, and it's a fun time if you've never seen it, or if you have and you want to watch it with people.
I think this would be a great Christmas party viewing, personally.
Oh, yeah.
I would love that.
I think it would be a blast.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, do you have anything else you want to say about Gremlins?
Who's your favorite Gremlin?
Who's my favorite Gremlin?
You can't say Gizmo, because he stays a Mogwai.
I like the Gremlin that's dressed up like a sexy lady next to the Gremlin that's kind of dressed up like a mob boss.
Yeah, I love there was that scene, now that you're again, it's so the bar scene is so funny. There's because they were just like fucking let's go.
Honestly, take that movie frame by frame and just enjoy everything.
Funny. There is this scene where there's like like the whole movie tonally shifts at one point where they're in the bar and there's like it almost switches to like a noir style thing where there's one sitting and it's playing like detective jazz music and he's got a little fedora on, and then like this other one pops up and he's like and then the one that looks kind of like a detective pulls out a hammer and just smacks him.
Yep.
Like what the fuck is happening?
It's like a whole little mini movie.
Good. I think that is my favorite Gremlin is the little detective guy, or the mugger Gremlin.
Yes.
Because he just has a gun, and having a gun in like most contexts is so funny.
So good. Gremlins walked so the Terrifier could run.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in third place / honorary mention, it'll be Gremlin hanging from objects.
Yes.
I love those
what
Gremlins.
A treat. Well, in that case, we'll start wrapping up. If you want to check us out or get connected with us on socials, we are at First Fright Pod on Instagram and X. We're also on Facebook. It's Love at First Fright. You can also email us. Our email is firstfrightpod@gmail.com. Feel free to send us your recommendations and suggestions or what you thought about Gremlins. We are entering the winter holiday season, so we're planning on doing some Christmassy themed movies.
I think we've got one more solidly Christmassy movie. And then we're doing something else that I don't think is explicitly Christmas, but we're very excited about it.
But if you have any other Christmas suggestions, feel free to holler.
Yeah, or stuff for the New Year's. Just keep sending any suggestions for horror movies you want. We got a suggestion recently that I'm gonna put on the schedule for the New Year. I'm not announcing it yet because I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I think it's gonna be a fun one.
Yep. Well, anyway, we hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, those who celebrate, and we will catch you in the next one.
And as always, scare well. See you next time.
Bye!